everyone, welcome to Red Fox Sewing and Crafting, and welcome to my craft room. I'm Joanna. So the next couple pages we will be working on in this album are going to be the pocket page, this double flat page, which has been knotted. There we go. This page with a pocket here, and then it has two flaps over the pocket, and then this double waterfall page. To get started, you will need two of your 5 by 7 3/4 and two of your 5 by 8 3/4 that have been scored at the half marks that we prepared in our last video. So I'm going to take one of my pages with the 2 tabs at the top and some score tape, and I'm going to put my 2 pages together really quick, again to show you how these go together. So I'm going to start with this side first, and you might notice that I have some tape going over the edge. I'm just going to pull this back and stick it right on top of itself, just like this. So then fold it over like this. I'm going to take my glue. You can use score tape, glue, both of them, whatever feels most comfortable to you. So got my glue here, and I'm going to take one of my 5 by 7 3/4 and I'm going to line both of these at the top. Just like this. Just like that. So then you have a nice piece of paper like this. Your 5 by 7 3/4 isn't poking out over the edge of the flap here, or the tab, and your tab is stuck on the inside. So I'm just going to take this and burnish it, and then I'm going to do the same thing to this tab. So I'm going to take my backing off, maybe. There we go. My backing off. Add a little bit of glue. And stick it down just like that. And I like using both score tape and glue because then the score tape sticks it on for a little bit, but the glue is permanent. It'll stick it on for forever. And with the glue, it's liquid, so you have a little bit more wiggle room with your score tape than without just the glue. Okay, so second one. Again, I'm going to put score tape on my 2 tabs. Burnish them down really good so you get a nice stick. Peel the backing off. Glue. Grab my other 5 by 7 3/4 and add it right to the top. Now, if you're making this, you can just make all your pages all at once. I'm just doing this to help remind everyone how this goes, just in case they want to go along with me and want to just cut everything for one or however many pages. Okay, so the first thing that we need is, let me get my pile of papers for this project. We need 1 2.5 by 8 3/4 and 1 4 by 8 3/4. So we're going to get our scoreboards out, and with the 4 by 8 3/4, we're going to score at 1/2 inch and 8.5 or 8 1/4 on the 8 3/4 side. So 1/2 and 8 1/4, and then flip it around to the 4-inch side at the top and score at 1/2. With your 2.5 by 8 3/4, you'll want the 8 3/4 at the top. And again, you're going to score at 1/2 and 8 1/4. Oops. Flip this around so that the 2.5 is at the top, and we're just going to score at 1/2 inch. And that will give us 2 pockets. Now just fold on the score marks that you made. And make sure to burnish them really good so that you have nice, crisp score marks or folds. You want to do that to both of your pockets. And then take your scissors and you are going to cut on the top edge opposite of the ½ inch mark on the shorter side, and we're going to cut the top edges mitered, making sure not to go past the score mark. So you want it like this. So flip it around, cut the other side so it looks like this, and then on the bottom you have these two squares here. I like to kind of angle a little bit like this to cut out the square. You can cut straight across if you want, like this. It's up to you, but I like doing it this way, just so that I know nothing's gonna poke out, and I have a little bit more reassurance with the strength of the pocket. So we're going to do the same thing with the other pocket. And when you're done, you should have two pockets that look like this. So if you are using score tape, you're going to want to do that now. If you're just going to be using liquid adhesive or something like that, you will want to wait. So just put your score tape on all the tabs like this. Same thing on the bigger one. And then we are going to grab one of our pages. You'll want to start with the big one first. Starting with the bottom of the pocket, we're going to take our backing off, add our adhesive, whatever, and we are going to fold our pocket together so it's like this, just to make it a little easier to line it up with the page. And then you're going to place it on the edge of your page, just like so. And if you want, you can flip it around on the other side of the page to make sure that it's not poking out from past the page. And then we're going to open this up and burnish it really good. Before we put these down, we are going to grab some Scotch tape and take a little bit off, and you want to make sure that it's about the size of the page, a little bit less, because you don't want it poking out from past the page. If you have a little bit less, you can, what you want, you can add a little bit more. But what we're going to do is you're just going to put the tape right on the tab that we just put down on the page. And this just helps with sliding whatever you want to put into the pocket. Make it a little easier so that it doesn't get caught on this tab. And now that we have the tape on there, we're just going to take these two side tabs add our glue, and stick it down, just like so. And now you have a little pocket. Now we're going to do the same thing to our smaller one. So, starting with the bottom tab, and we are going to put this on top of the pocket that we just put on. So we are layering them on top of each other. Burnish that really good. Grab some Scotch tape. And then the two sides. There you go. Now you have two pockets, one here and one right here. Now with this page, you can do what I did with this book or album, and you can punch notches into this. I just used my envelope notch punch to do this, and I believe I punched these two at the same time, just this one was flipped on top of this one. And if you are not comfortable with putting your pattern paper inside pockets and on top afterwards, you can always put your pattern paper on your pockets and on your page before you put your paper or your pockets on your page. I just like doing the pattern paper afterwards, just so that I can cover up my tabs and not have to deal with, again, things getting stuck on the tabs. Next page is the two side tabs, or the side flaps. And for that, you will need two 3 by 7 3/4 inch papers, piece of cardstock. And we're going to take this with the 3 inches at the top, and we're going to score at half. And we are going to do this to both. So 3 inches at the top, score at half. And we're just going to burnish these flaps really good. So we have some tabs, and then we're again going to take our scissors and miter the two corners so that it looks like this. And this just makes sure that when you put these on your pages, your tabs won't be sticking out. It'll look a little bit more professional. Going to add score tape to these. And this one is going to be really quick and easy. Grab your page and then flip it over. And since these are the same exact size and everything, it won't matter which side goes on which. They're going to meet in the middle. So just take one, fold the flap back, grab your page, and then on the back side of your page, you want to put this on top, just like so. So you have flap, flip it over, you have your pockets. And then second one. Again, fold the tab back and stick it right down like so. There you go. I put ribbon on mine, so you can just grab a little bit of ribbon here. I have this piece right here. I'm just going to cut it in half. And then find the center. And then I'm just going to take this, make sure I'm going over the center part here. And then I'm going to stick it down with some score tape. There. And then I did the same thing on the other side. Flip it around. Find the, oh, whoopsie. It's always good to know your center. but there. This is handmade. If it's not perfect, that's normal. Doesn't have to be. So here is page 4. We are going to set this aside to work on the next 2 pages. For page 5, you are going to need a few extra things. You will need 2 4 3/8 by 2.5, 1 3 by 8 3/4, and then your pattern paper that you want to put on your tabs. That's these 2, because we'll be adding brads to the top, and you need pattern paper to go on top of your brads, or you need pattern paper on your tabs before you put your brads on. So for now, just put aside your page and your pattern paper, and we will be scoring these. With your 4 3/8 at the top of your 4 3/8 by 2.5, you want to score at half, and you want to do that with both. 4 3/8 at the top, score at half. And with your 3 by 8 3/4, put your 8 3/4 at the top, score at half, and at 8 1/4, then flip it around with the 3 inches at the top and score at half. This is going to make another pocket. So, since we just did that a little bit ago, this shouldn't be too hard to do. We just fold and burnish everything, and then miter the 4 corners, making sure not to go past these score marks that we just made. So it'll look like this. With your 2 tabs, you want to burnish these really good, and then miter the tabs so that they look like this. Because these are going on top of the pocket. So let's do the pocket first. You're going to put score tape on all 3 tabs burnish really good, and then big bottom tab first. Add some glue here. And then put it right on your page, just like we did at the beginning. Grab some Scotch tape, tape up the tab, and now we can put our 2 side tabs down. Just going to burnish really good, and we have our pocket. Now it's time to work on the 2 tabs. So before I put these on, I'm going to really quickly put my pattern papers on. And I am double matting. So I'm just going to put my pattern paper first on my white mat here. And if you want, you can do this when these are on the page, but today I just want to put them on now. Clean this up really quick here. Now, these can go on the 2 tabs. And if you're doing it like I am, you want to do it just on the front, not on the back. Closure wise. If you're doing another closure, you can do it however you want, but for this type of closure, you just want the pattern paper on the front, not on the back, because we're using brads and that will go through to the back, so we want to cover the tines. Now I'm going to add some more square tape. And now it's time to put these on the pocket. And when adding these to the pocket, you want the tab to go on the outer edge. So you want it to line up on the corner of the tab, or of the pocket, just like so. And lift it up and burnish it really good. Flip it around, and we're going to add our second tab here, second flap. And right on the corner. And as I said before, it doesn't have to be perfect. As long as you're happy with it, it's all good. Now I have this punch right here. It is probably, I'd say, about 3/4 of an inch diameter circle. And what I like to do for this is punch out 3 circles for each brad. So I'm doing 2 brads, so that's going to be 6 circles that you need to punch out. And you can do pattern paper if you want, or the paper you're using for the base, or another all different color cardstock. You just want some type of cardstock, some type of straight cardstock. So I'm going to take one of these circles and put a little bit of glue on it. Put another circle on top. Add a little bit more glue. And then put my last circle on top. So then I have a stack of 3 circles that have been glued together. I'm going to do the exact same thing with these really quick. And this just gives the thread or floss or whatever you're using a place to lay. Now you're going to want to get a pokey tool, and I just kind of line it up on my mat as best as I can, finding the center, and then just kind of poke right through. Just like so. And then you have a circle with a hole in the center. And this just makes it easier to put the brad through. Now you just need to grab a couple brads and I'm going to go with 2 black brads. And just, well, we'll set those off to the side for now. Right now, we need to figure out where we want these to lay. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball where I want it, and that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to grab my Poke Tool again and put it through the hole that I made in the circle, not pushing very much pressure on it because you don't want to poke through the whole page. But I'm just putting my hand there to note where I want the hole, and then I lifted up the tab like this, the flap, keeping the pressure on to the point. And now, since I have the flap away from the pocket, from the whole page, now I can poke through the hole, through the tab, flap, whatever this is. And I have a hole. And now I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Line it up where I want it. Put my stiletto where I want to poke the hole at. Bring the flap up so I'm not poking through my whole page, and carefully poke through. Now that I have my 2 holes, I can now put my brads through. I have this little device I made. I got it from someone on YouTube. I don't remember who it was. But this is a good tool to use to get good spacing with these. So it's just a mid-weight chipboard with a slit cut through the middle. And I just put my brad with my little circle stack through the slit. And then I can take this whole thing, put it through the hole. Once I find it, there we go. Put it through the hole like so. And then I can take my stiletto and push as hard as I can on the tines. And when I remove this, I have space between, I don't know if you can see, but I have space between my circles and my flap. So again, brad through a circle, through a slit, inside the hole that I made, and then I can take my stiletto, flatten it really good, and then I have a nice spaced brad. And then I'm going to take some thicker score tape here and just put it right on top of the tines so that when I'm ready to cover this, I can take the backing off and the tines won't poke through the paper. If you don't have any score tape or don't like using score tape, you can just use normal Scotch tape. That'll work just as good. And then I'm going to grab some embroidery floss here, cut a little bit off, Then we're just going to slip it under one of the circles, tie it a couple times, and then we have a nice little closure that we can use in our album. Last page. For this one, you will need eight, 3 by 5s. You need 8 3 by 5s. And then with the 3 inches at the top, you are going to score at 1/2 inch. And you're going to do that on all of your pieces here. And then we are just going to, again, fold and burnish on all of the score marks that we just made. But this time, we are not going to miter the score marks, or the tabs. You're going to keep those just as they are. And then again, if you're using score tape, now is a good time to add it to all your tabs. This will be quick work. Assembly line type of page. And then burnish it all so that the score tape sticks. Now that we have all these prepped, you're going to want to grab your page that you just worked on, and we're going to take one and remove the backing. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. And then we're going to line this up on one of the 5-inch sides. It doesn't matter which side you choose because we're going to mirror it on the other side. So that's done really good. Now, this part you're going to want to make sure that this is open. Sorry about my barking dog. She is crazy. She is not a good protective dog. Okay, once you have your next piece prepped, you're going to want to line up the folded part with the bottom of the tab of the first one so that it looks like this. I don't know if you can see, but I have my tab right here and then my folded piece right here. See if I can show you a little bit better, but maybe you can see it. And then we're going to do that 2 more times. So line it up with the bottom of the previous tab, burnish it really good, and then one last time, add your glue, and line it up with the previous tab. So then you have 4 waterfall pieces that are spaced about 1/2 inch apart from each other. Now we're going to flip it and work on the other side. And it's going to be the exact same thing that we did on the first one. Glue on your tab and then line it up with the second side, just like so. Grab your second piece. Line it up with the bottom of the first tab. Grab your third one. Line it up with the previous tab. And then the last one. So then your pieces will, there will be a waterfall going on top and a waterfall going from the bottom. And then we're going to add ribbon again. So just snip off a little bit here. I'm going to grab a couple pieces of score tape here. And you want it to go on the first one you put down on both sides. Otherwise, you won't be really tying anything closed. So again, on the second one, and now this can get tied. And we can add both of these pages to our book. So now we're back to our album, and we need to put the one with the pocket and the two side flaps on first. And the pockets go in the front. So if you added score tape like me, you will want to take off the backing first, or if you did the lines, you'll just want to add your glue to the hinge above the line, and then we're just going to take our page and just slip it on just like so, checking to make sure that no glue or score tape is showing or any lines. And then once we're happy with it, we can stick it down. And you want to make sure that the pockets, the bottom of the pockets, are towards the hinge. And then the second page is with the pockets and the tabs, and then on the back is the waterfall. And you want this on the front with the tabs and pocket going towards the hinge again. So we're going to with the backing, add a little bit of glue. And with these, you want to watch to make sure that you're not getting your ribbon caught in the hinges. That will not be fun. And then you just want to carefully slide your page on the hinge. Once it decides to cooperate. There we go. And then just check, make sure you're aligned on both sides. you're happy, you can stick it down. There you go. We have our triangle pockets with our photo mat, our side flap, our double pocket, double side flap, pocket with the top and bottom flaps, and the double waterfall. Hope you enjoyed. Hope your album is coming together very well, and I will see you next week to add the next few pages to our albums. Bye!